weren't expecting us.
Gr8.
I'm Josh.
Hi, Josh.
Nice to meet you.
I'm calling this the middle. I'll try to. Hi, everyone.
Hello. Good morning.
Well, we came, there was supposed to be a hearing today, and I believe your council member sits on the committee that oversees the DFHV, and she was going to be presumably at that hearing. 1,300 people signed up to testify. I know that your boss does not run the committee, but Councilmember Nadeau canceled the hearing. Apparently, y'all couldn't figure out how to use Zoom. And so we're here, and I haven't had a chance to meet the council member before. I don't think we've met. I'm not sure. We weren't at the lobby days. Were you?
No.
Okay, I don't know if your office sent anyone to the lobby days. We did come here, not quite this larger group, back in, what was it? We were in what, beginning of June or into May? Last day of May? Something like that. We did speak with a number of staff. But look, we've presented some, are you the legislative director or?
Interim?
Interim legislative
Senior
director.
counsel.
So great.
And I handle our THC.
So I assume that you have, we presented a copy of legislation that's gotten, the participation of drivers. We presented that to all the council members, to DFHV and mayor's office back at the end of May, beginning of June. And look, we want to get some sense from the council member on what her position is on the rights of drivers to work for themselves like every other service professional in the district and to be able to set their own worth. And for riders to have greater choice and to be able to get more affordable rides, which I'm sure the council member supports. And so we wanted to hear her feedback. Obviously, she's not here. I understand she's pregnant, so congratulations to her. I don't know what your knowledge is of the issue. So. I'll put you on the spot or anything.
No, so I do handle our transportation and environment work, but I believe you all have been with like public works. Not
Yes, the
mostly, right?
DFHV I believe is overseen.
Yeah,
is overseen
so that
by-
is not part of my portfolio, so I'm not an expert on those issues. I think Councilmember Listridge has a really strong record on workers' rights and labor rights. And we absolutely believe that people should be able to work for themselves and make money directly. I think that the issues that are being considered right now, to my understanding, are regulatory and rider safety and things like that. And so those are certainly a little more. Those are certainly a little more complicated.
We don't think they're too complicated. So all the current regulatory regime, as I understand it, basically says Uber, Lyft, you guys be responsible for safety. That doesn't seem to work all that well for folks based on what I read and what I hear. And the Department of For-Hire Vehicles is the agency that is entrusted with ensuring the public safety. They keep reminding us of that. And so the legislation that we've proposed would make it such that the drivers would all these folks would register, be licensed by the Department of For-Hire Vehicles, be subject to whatever restrictions the district and the department think are appropriate for drivers who want to work for themselves, and put the responsibility for safety back in the hands of where it belongs, which is with the Department of For-Hire Vehicles, and not with any private company, let alone Uber or Lyft. And so, we get it. Like, these folks, no one here is looking for special treatment. They want to be able to work for themselves, determine how much they want to charge for their services, like a plumber, electrician, carpenter, a barber, a massage therapist. This is with the district. None of them, barbers aren't required to go work for Supercuts. Can you imagine if we told all the barbers in DC that, hey, you guys got to go work for Supercuts, or for, if you told all the electricians they got to go work for Dominion Power? I don't think that would go over very well. And these folks are all just looking for the same rights that everybody else has. And we look forward to hearing what the council member has to think about that. I mean, I think it's great that she stands for workers' rights. I think it's important, like you said, that she also makes sure she stands for the right for people who don't want to work for anybody else, that just want to work for themselves and want to be, have that power and are willing to comply with all the rules and regulations that the city thinks are appropriate for people who choose to do that for themselves.
Does anyone else?
Anyone want to tell their story?
Yeah.
Or
Yes, I'm here and I speak for the people.
Can you give me your name?
My name is Jeremy Boyd Scales, and I'm a council member of this Empower. I run my own business, and I have multiple interviews with consent. And everyone, I have a video I can even show, or and everybody says empower, empower, empower. I asked them multiple questions regarding Lyft, Uber, and Empower, and at the end of the result, everyone loves Empower.
Anyone else?
Empower significantly lower prices than Uber and Lyft. From the airport, it's a quarter of the price. And yet every driver you talk to prefers working for them. Yep. It's much better. Right. Working for themselves. It's a much better service. And Uber and Lyft in the past couple of years have already almost doubled their routine rates. And it's going to get even worse if DC puts Empower out of business.
I think it's important to note that because so many folks, everyone's so accustomed to Uber's business model that I think some of the council members, just they don't quite get it, right? They think that, hey, this is some other company that wants to compete with Uber and Lyft and simply doesn't want to be treated like a transportation company. Well, that's because we're not a transportation company, right? That'd be like saying Open Table is a restaurant, right? It's a different business model. The drivers don't work for us. They don't want to work for us, right? They set their own rates. They get 100% of the fare. They pay us. We work for them, right? They are our customer. And that is, I think, conceptually maybe a little bit foreign because everyone's so used to, Uber, right? It's mainstream. It's, a word now, right? And so I think that might be part of the confusion. But again, it's important to point out that this is about all these folks who individually want to be able to compete Uber and Lyft. And look, at the end of the day, some people may want to work for Uber or Lyft. This legislation that we propose doesn't prevent anyone from doing that, right? I think there's some misconception there. Like, if it turns out that folks don't want to use Empower, they don't want to work for themselves, if riders don't want to request rides, well, then they'll use the alternative big transportation services that are available to them.
Excuse me. My name is Adeto Baujimo. I've been with Empower for so long since they start. My surprise is that if DoorDash, other delivering company, and you see some company that are electronics in their car, all those kind of things, they are not being disturbed. Why is it Empower? What did Empower have to do? Because we drive the same thing. I do Lyft before, I do Uber before. It's the way they operate. They are just, cutting people. No, if they are doing that, is it them doing that to support the council or what? We do things to make it easy for everybody. The price wise, everything. That everybody, they now call it Empower. They don't call the work has empowered driver that made them do. What is the offense? What is the criminality? What have they found with it that they didn't find with the Lyft?
I can answer that question for you.
Okay.
They don't want to regulate you all. They don't want to, because that requires some work.
But what have we done?
Well,
So
nothing
how
other
does
than
Uber get to have the same playing field?
We drive-
because it's a lot easier when
And why
something
we
goes
not
wrong.
allowed to be on the platform?
Because it's a lot easier when
Why?
something goes wrong
They
for
pay
Uber to
less for
to blame
Empower.
Uber.
Can I ask
Yeah.
a question?
Yeah.
So in your vision, workers are working independently, you're hooking them up with gigs. If something goes wrong,
Sure.
if there's an accident,
Yep.
if someone's being harassed,
Yep.
if whatever happens,
Yep.
the driver is individually responsible.
Yep.
And so as a rider, how is that are you envisioning something where the rider complains directly to the
So
DHFA?
Both are possible. So
or-
currently we have a
Yes.
full-blown customer support team that handles complaints, issues from drivers, they're our customer, but also from our customer's customer. right? I mean, that's one of the services that we provide. If you have a complaint about one of our customers, you can lodge that, we can handle it. And look, at the end of the day, all of these folks understand that if there are no riders requesting rides, and we understand if there are no riders requesting rides, the service that we sell to them isn't worth very much, right? And so they understand that. But at the same time, if a rider has a problem with a ride, they can of course reach out to the district. They can of course reach out to the Department of For-Hire Vehicles. And the Department of For-Hire Vehicles should be reaching out to us and letting us know. We cooperate fully. We have a great relationship. Fortunately, there's not too many incidents, but we have a great relationship with the MPD, with all the police forces. They say, hey, where do you need to send the subpoena to get it? Subpoena? What subpoena? What do you need to know? We're happy to provide the information. We don't have a conflict of interest. Uber, Lyft, they're not going to give any of that information because they're the ones, that's like asking them to turn over evidence against themselves, right? They're the ones providing the service. And so again, our business model works better for district residents, right? With respect to safety.
Yep.
And again, the district should be determining who's safe to drive. I mean, they do that with respect to getting a driver's license. Can you imagine if we outsourced who gets a driver's license to a private, profitable, for-profit company? I mean, like that had an incentive to have as many people on the road as possible. I mean, I don't know. I mean, might have some scary folks.
And to speak on that topic, man, if anyone has an issue, hold on, just 1 second. If anyone has an issue before the subpoenas, if anyone have an issue with a driver and a passenger with Empower, they can actually contact the support team, our Empower team, and they will be dispatched from that passenger and driver, which meaning if they ever book a ride with that driver, it would not go through. It would not follow through. So that's the number one thing. That's the safety for number one. It would no longer go through, and that's before the subpoena because we don't want you with the same people.
Do you all operate, I assume in Maryland, Virginia, any other
Yes,
places?
all
Yes.
that. No complaint.
Yeah, so what's the difference between how things work there and how things work here?
Police mess with us in DC, and in Maryland and Virginia, we don't have any issue at all. It's kind of like, I believe it feels as though they're feeling it out to see how DC responds, and they're going to probably coattail on it. My name is Tihee. I'm an Air Force veteran. I'm a disabled veteran. And I did do Uber. I did Uber at the start. And a lot of the similar situations that Empower's going through currently, Uber went through at the start as well. Uber had a lot of investor money. And I would just say they lobbied quite a bit in different towns. I'm from New Jersey. And if you know, that's where the Sopranos are, right? So I just happen to remember we were not allowed to pick up people at the Hoboken, New Jersey train stop. Uber went in and, to my knowledge, paid off the cab company. Now we're allowed to pick up rides. So in this same instance in DC, if I'm not mistaken, the Department of For-Hire Vehicles is primarily funded by Uber. So isn't that like a conflict of interest?
I don't know about that.
Oh, well, so if they're primarily funded by Uber, and Uber is obviously against us, because, an Uber at the start, at the outset, had the initial premise to reduce what was a cab ride. So how I got started doing Uber, it was my wife's birthday, right? This is what we do real quick. She was drunk, and we was on a party boat, and she got kicked off. I'm trying to catch a boat. I'm trying to catch a cab back from New York City to New Jersey. They wanted $150. I didn't have $150. I just lost $400 getting kicked off this boat, right? Anyway, a friend of mine's.
Yeah, we're gonna move to the. We got pizza out there that's all here, and we gotta move to the next.
So, real short. A friend of mine's booked an Uber ride. It was $70. It was less than half of the cost. And 2 weeks later, I was a Uber driver. At that time, you could make $1,000 in about 30 hours. As a matter of fact, Uber even guaranteed $1,000 as long as you was logged on to the app for 40 hours. Now, since Uber went public, everything flipped. When that company went public, I guess it was 17 or 18, that's when I quit. They went from paying $2.50 a mile to paying $1.15 a mile, and at that point, it mathematically didn't work out for me. So that's why a lot of us are here, because we want to be independent entrepreneurs like we once were.
And again,
So, okay, guys, if you have a sign that says